Trump White House scrambling now, late in the day, to quell another Epstein-related uproar. Now, there are reports that they're going to have this high-level meeting tonight, you might have heard about this, at the vice president's residence, which itself is a bit unusual, although you could have meetings in any number of places in the evening with top staff. What's different, though, is that the vice president now is trying to tamp down any expectations that this meeting is about Epstein or will lead to more Epstein action. He's denying that. Now, the reports called it a kind of Epstein strategy dinner for the scandal that won't go away and to discuss if there is anything that they can release, including perhaps more information about the suspicious interviews conducted with Ghislaine Maxwell. This is what Vance just said.
Gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation.
I don't know. I could ask you that question. I don't know of it, but I think here's the man right here.
I saw it reported today, and it's completely fake news. We're not meeting to talk about the Epstein situation, and I think the reporter who reported it needs to get better sources.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax.
Donald Trump doing something very rare there, ceding the microphone, of course, because this is looking bad. So if by a bit of pre-planned theater, they have hung more of it on Vance, and then he says, oh, hey, why don't you answer? And then they both say fake news, and then you heard Trump at the end say this whole thing is a hoax. Well, this is a MAGA story from the start. This is something Trump promised to do, release Epstein information, which he's not doing. So just like the way he used to badmouth crypto as a scam and now sells crypto, we are reminded of the inconsistencies. If it's a hoax, it's his hoax. But the underlying case is no hoax. Real people, real lives were ruined. Real victims of sex trafficking have been speaking out because of the secrecy and the mistakes clearly made by the Trump administration now, even before you get to the history. And I've told you in this story, while there is politics involved and there's a whole saga in Washington about it, we will continue to make sure that we are covering the victims' families and the victims if and when they choose to speak out. And they're speaking out again today, saying we understand the vice president, again, based on that reporting, which you just heard him deny, but we understand he'll hold a strategy session with administration officials. Missing from this group is, of course, any survivor of the various crimes of convicted perjurer and sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Their voices must be heard above all. They go on to say Maxwell should have remained in a maximum security prison and does not deserve the luxuries currently afforded her. A reference to one of the great hypocrisies about the so-called MAGA Epstein justice movement, which is if it has done one tangible thing, it's not get more information or transparency or get to the bottom of what was a suspicious death in the custody of the Trump DOJ. No, the one actual real-world change is better treatment and leniency for an Epstein sex trafficking conspirator. Washington Post reports, as for that leniency, that prison has comparatively comfortable accommodations. It's more like a campus, it's been described, than a typical federal prison. Indeed, one report said it's, quote, the nation's most lenient lockup. Another warden said, quote, someone gave preference, special preference to Maxwell. No other inmate currently in BOP has received, and it's a country club. Inmates, if they have a sex offense, are not going to a place like that, period. It's truly unheard of. Now there's overnight reports that Maxwell, in those interviews, and with all reporting, sometimes you ask, who would leak this? Who would have the reason to leak this? And who's in control of her and those interviews? Well, according to ABC News reporting, she told DOJ Trump never did anything concerning around her. Now, I'll put the ABC piece to the side and add another point here. What is going on when in a closed case where she's been convicted and her co-conspirator is dead, why is she being interviewed about Donald Trump in the first place? Why is his name even coming up? The whole thing itself is suspicious. And back before Trump was trying to get out from under this scandal, remember, there was an actual investigation. They already got all the information they could out of her. There is no legal or substantive reason we would expect new information to come out. The line of questioning and now the leaking is suspicious. Some say there could be a deal here. Now, I can only report for you what happened. I can tell you what's suspicious. I can tell you they already got information out of her before they convicted her. And I can tell you she's getting special treatment. Whether those were exchanged in a deal, we don't have the reporting on that yet. Trump, meanwhile, has dangled a pardon for her.
consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if she's
It's something I haven't thought about. It's really
if they
something.
recommended it,
It's something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought
but
about.
you wouldn't.
I want to bring in our guests on something that Trump hasn't thought about but apparently can't rule out. We are joined by the Reverend Al Sharpton, host of Politics Nation on MSNBC, founder of the National Action Network, and Vanity Fair's Molly Jong-Fast, an MSNBC analyst. Molly, it sounds critical to just go in and list the sordid and unusual facts of what has occurred. No one in reporting has yet nailed a deal.
Right.
But we are seeing suspicious bricks in a wall that looks like Maxwell gave them stuff and now they're giving her stuff. Whether that was arranged, we can't say yet, but it doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good. And remember, this whole thing it doesn't look good. Like, every part of it doesn't look good. And every time Trump does more, he makes it worse, right? Like, he talks about it, he brings attention to it. Every piece of reporting, remember the reporting that the FBI had people go through and redact the names, including Trump's name? Like, these are just very suspect. These are things that seem very suspicious. And we haven't been able to thread the needle. But in a case like this, where there's so much attention and there's so much interest, to release more and more bits of it will just continue. And remember, I think what's important about this case is that it is something that gets the MAGA base is super interested in. It's not necessarily a mainstream media obsession the way that other things Trump has been involved in have been.
Yeah. Reverend Sharpton, I really want to go to the politics with you. You're known for more than one thing. You care a lot about civil rights. I want to ask you about that coming up. But you know politics. I've seen you maneuver with people in both parties. I've seen you counsel people who have scandals that look like a lot less than this. How do you rate the way they're handling this? And what do you think of what we just heard? The president and the vice president responding to their own sort of leaks. Only they know where they're meeting and who they're meeting with, and dragging out what has been their secretive approach to this sex trafficking scandal.
I think that at best, I'd rank them as amateurs because they're making very big mistakes. One, to have the number two man in justice go down and talk to a woman convicted, and then all of a sudden she magically leaves a jail and goes to what some have said is like a club. It just, amateurs do that. To talk about a pardon and leave it open, well, you're the lawyer, but pardon based on what? She's already been sentenced. Yeah. She's been sentenced before you were there. So what would be the basis of you saying she's been sentenced too long when she's been already doing the 20 years? What would be the basis of a pardon other than some quid pro quo for whatever reasons we don't know? I think that they have brought more suspicion on themselves because of the amateurish way they've handled this.
So I'm not minimizing the issues, and we've been covering, and I've had experts on about the victims. But I will make a Looney Tunes analogy, which is on other scandals, Donald Trump has been Wile E. Coyote. We have seen his critics and Democrats say they think they got him and he always gets away. Why do you think on this one, he suddenly is sitting in this for weeks on end with his base up in uproar?
Because this time it's not his critics getting him or his opposition getting him. He's getting himself. He's, there's a friend of mine that always says a fish wouldn't get caught if he kept his mouth shut. And he keeps talking himself back into this. And if he had just...
If I may, another friend of yours used to say that some people talk a lot, but say nothing.
Quote was talking loud and saying nothing.
Talking loud and saying nothing. To see, this is the thing. Sometimes people just listen to the lyrics. Rev says, no, I knew James Brown. Let me fix it for you. Go ahead, sir.
No, but what my point is, he has talked himself back into it. If they had not had to move with the Deputy Attorney General, if they had not had to move with Trump talking about this on a daily basis and denying it, it would have died that week. He keeps bringing it back, which also makes a lot of people feel that he can't let it go for a reason. Now, I don't know what he did.
Right, we don't know, but it looks bad.
But it looks bad.
Yeah, it looks bad.
Because you're complaining too much. You're
Yeah.
spending too much.
Yeah.
And now you're going to have a meeting at the vice president's house, and it's the attorney general, head of the FBI, everybody that would be involved, but you're not talking about that. But then why did somebody leak that you were having the meeting?
Yeah.
Right.
What are you meeting about?
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's just amateur moves.
All right, Molly, maybe I'll do another James Brown,
Yes.
and maybe you can get involved. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, don't give it away.
All right.
I don't know karate.
What, this is I'm not
But
prepared
I
for
know
this.
Careza.
I'm sorry.
There it is.
I apologize.
Classic.
Don't apologize. He's just an expert.
The
All right,
polling.
wait, I'm going to show you polling. It's funny you said that. We're on the
Okay.
same page. UMass poll. People are talking about this around the country.
Yeah.
It's summer. There's a lot of things going on. People are talking about this, and there's a clear view when you say who's hiding the info. It's not federal bureaucrats. It's not the speaker, although some think that. It's not the Trump officials who've been blamed, although Bondi does catch 59%. But far and away, this means, to be clear, Molly, 81% is over half of the people who voted for Trump statistically also think he's hiding it.
And if you poll the pardon, if you poll him pardoning Ghislaine, it's it's very hard to get Americans to agree on things, but they
Yeah.
all agree that he should not pardon her.